Hey there, this is David Spanio with Brand Rocket, and welcome to a brand new series for Google Ads for cardiologists. So we're going to cover a lot here, and I just wanted to give you a quick introduction as to what you can expect in this rather lengthy and detailed but very valuable series for Google Ads for cardiologists. So when we step back and look at marketing, let me just move myself out of the way here. When we look at the overall multi-channel marketing opportunities for cardiologists, there's a lot, right? So we're talking about Google ads and a little bit of Facebook and Instagram ads as well. But if you're doing everything, it's kind of rare, but happens sometimes, right? But if you're doing everything, then this can include like email and text messaging, some content marketing that ties in with SEO, online reviews and reputation, of course, reputation management. That's all very important. Direct mail might be part of what you're doing. Community events, being part of the community, referral programs, social media marketing. There's a lot there, right? So we're talking about one particular part of that, which is Google Ads, and again, a little bit of Facebook and Instagram as well. This is what we call bottom of the market marketing. So bottom of the market, bottom of the funnel marketing, when we are being very, very specific about capturing high intent searches for people that are looking for help now. And there's different ways to actually target those searches. And there's different expressions of those searches. And the way that somebody expresses themselves when they're searching for anything that's related to cardiology can really represent where they are in that buying journey. And again, I kind of use that term loosely, buying journey, because it really applies to products. But in this case, just think of it as somebody who's exploring different services that are part of cardiology that they might not even be aware of. They might be doing searching based off of symptoms that they are feeling or problems that they're experiencing, right? So we're going to get into all of that for sure. But let's talk a little bit about why Google Ads. And if you're here, you probably already know why Google Ads, but let's just go over this really, we're just going to do this really fast just to make sure that we understand why Google Ads is really important, especially to cardiology. So first and foremost, immediate visibility to high intent searches. So again, the way that people search expresses where they are in terms of like finding a solution to their problem. And we're going to talk about all those different ways that somebody might search and what you need to do to capture those searches as they go through that process of finding a solution for whatever they're dealing with. Number two, precise local targeting. So we can get very granular with our targeting. We can do radius targeting, zip code targeting. There's a lot there in terms of like making sure that we are focusing on the right geographic targeting. It could be statewide, it could be city-based, it could be county-based. There's a lot of different ways to slice and dice that for sure. Number three, cost-effective pay-per-click. So Google Ads, again, you only get charged when somebody clicks your ads. So think about that, right? You got to make sure that your ads are proper for the search. You don't want to be all over the place. I see this all the time. I do a lot of audits. So I see the ads that are they're not built out or constructed correctly. And they're getting clicks on things that they shouldn't be getting clicks on. And it can be very wasteful. And if you're just going to follow Google's prompts and setting up an account, most likely 95% chance, quite frankly, that it's going to be wasteful because it's not structured properly. So there's a way to do this for sure. It's all pay-per-click. You got to make sure that those clicks are quality clicks that are coming into your account, not something that they're going to click over and be like, oh, this isn't for me. And then they bail out and they go somewhere else and you're left with nothing but the expense, right? So number four, high ROI potential. So without a doubt, when there's a profit analysis done in Google Ads for cardiology, making sure that the right keywords are in the account, the ones that express high intent, somebody who's ready to make a decision, is really, really important. Number five, targeting specific conditions and demographics, right? So we go through this very, very, very detailed. So we talk about different services that are offered, making sure that we are structuring the account in a way that that the keywords are organized, that we're focusing on the right keywords, whether they're part of like diagnostic testing or electrophysiology or general cardiology terms or interventional cardiology or stuff that's related to heart surgery or structural heart disease. We structure it in a way that makes sense and that you can focus on the keywords that truly will add value and revenue to the business. All right. Competitive advantage in fierce markets. So cardiology can be very competitive, and Google Ads is an auction, right? So when you're in an auction, the more competitors that are in there is going to drive the prices up. So you got to be very selective about the keywords that you're focusing on, not just taking Google's advice and bidding on everything, right? We got to make sure that we are very strategic about selecting the right keywords that are going to be the most profitable for the practice and result in long-term growth, quite frankly. And there's a whole process that we go through for that. Measurable results in optimization. So it's been a long time since marketing, at least on the digital side, has been kind of like this roll of the dice, right? If an account is structured properly, you will have the data to be able to make really smart numbers-based, data-based decisions on what's working and what's not, based off of cost and revenue analysis. And we'll get into that as well. And then, of course, total and complete transparency. This is digital marketing. We have tremendous insight into what's working and what's not, as long as an account is structured properly. And we'll talk about that as well, how to get the proper numbers, how to know what you're aiming for, and then measure that to make sure it has a proper ROI, because the proper ROI leads into making very important decisions about scaling, what to scale and what not to scale. Okay, so why Google Ads? There's a lot of reasons, and this is just 8 of probably 50 different reasons, but these are the most important ones. So in this particular video series, we're going to cover a lot. It's probably going to be 2 to 3 hours long. It's going to be broken into probably 10 or so videos. We'll see. We start with conversion tracking, because conversion tracking is really important, making sure that you're measuring everything that's important, right? And it's not just for measurement purposes. It's also so that we can feed the algorithm with success signals so that Google learns how to actually deploy and optimize your advertising. And there's a very specific method to that. There's a rollout schedule that we will follow. Knowing your goals. So this is a big one. A lot of times, and again, I do a lot of audits, and I see accounts that are structured that are not driven by goals at all. You've got to have a compass. You got to know what you're shooting for. You got to know, okay, these are the different services that we want to bring in, that we want to promote in the practice. These are the type of patients that we want to bring in. Maybe even knowing what that lifetime patient value is for the different services, which would be great, because that's even better, right? Determining proper budget. A lot of times I get questions like, well, how much should I spend? And there's a whole analysis that we'll go into on that, because it depends, again, looking at typical revenue, what we're comfortable spending, where we should be spending marketing dollars that add value and profitability for the cardiology practice. So understanding key Google formulas and top performance, that's important as well. We're not going to get super detailed, but it's always good, like driving a car. You got to know how to check the oil and change your tires a lot of times, like the basics, right? I think it's really, really important to understand the basic formulas of Google Ads, because it's not a mystery. There's a very specific reason that we're able to rank for different keywords and dominate for different keywords and bring profitability into Google Ads accounts, and we'll cover those formulas that show exactly what we're looking at. Keyword research, identifying high commercial intent. So this is a big one as well, making sure you're focused on the right keywords. There's a ton of keywords, and if you were to take Google Ads recommendations, you would probably have 1,000 different keywords. You got to think of them in terms of commercial intent and where somebody is in that journey as they're trying to discover what's going on and getting the proper testing and procedures. So we will talk about that. Proper campaign structure to target the right searches. So that's pretty much the same thing, right? So making sure there's structure in the campaign so that we can have the granularity in being able to bid for the right keywords. and being able to monitor performance in the right fashion. Profitable bidding strategies. So there's a lot of different ways to bid in Google Ads. You can do manual bidding. You can do maximize conversions, maximize conversion value. You can add a target CPA or a target cost per acquisition. Or if we're talking about revenue components, we could do a target ROAS, return on ad spend. So there's a lot of different ways. It can be very confusing, but we're going to break that down and actually show you a schedule of deployment and how to do that the right way. Creating effective ad copy. So Google Ads, 15 different headlines now, 4 different descriptions. What do we put in those headlines? How do we talk about benefits, features of different procedures? There's a lot there to cover. Trust signals, and we're going to break that down, how we create effective ad copy, and then continuously test that ad copy. Performance Max campaign comes at the end. It's the latest in there's demand gen now in Google Ads, but Google Performance Max is fairly new and it's always changing. We never launch with it right away. We launch on a schedule. There's a timeline of introducing these campaign types, and we'll talk about that. And then at the end, a bonus, going through the campaign settings, how to set these things up properly. Because if you don't, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Because Google, by default, will get you to configure them in a way that benefits Google rather than your practice. Okay, so just real quick. Little graphic here for you, just to show you what the campaign rollout strategy looks like on a timeline. Okay, so we have month 1 through month 12. You can see in the beginning, and we'll talk in detail about this here shortly. In the very beginning, we go into like the type of bidding that we do. Like we start with exact match, manual bidding, making sure our targeting is like super laser on point, laser targeted to the keywords that matter. And then we start to train the algorithm with proper conversion tracking. We're tracking form submissions, booking, phone calls. We're continuously informing the algorithm through all those success signals and able to kind of expand out and grow and scale in a very methodical way by the introduction of these different campaign types as we move forward in time. So you can see Performance Max usually shows up around month 6, month 7. Remarketing is tricky because of HIPAA. So there are certain things that we can do for remarketing for sure that are not service specific, that are more generalized. And we'll talk about that. And then display prospecting. So when we're going completely up funnel, right? We've started at the bottom of the funnel. And if I'm talking about funnels, you're like, what in the world is he talking about? We're going to get into this, right? So we super laser targeting at the bottom, getting the conversions in, using those learnings, those success signals to inform Google, starting to use different campaign types that have wider targeting as we move backward through the funnel, finally to like display and YouTube at the right time. And timing is everything in Google Ads, being able to roll these out strategically in the right order to be scaling rather than spreading yourself all over the place and wasting a ton of money, which is very easy to do in Google Ads, and I see it over and over again in the audits that I do in cardiology and in other medical or healthcare related campaigns. So it happens quite a bit. So if you're working in a campaign that's kind of in that particular stage, don't worry, you're going to get it sorted out for sure. And let me just mention this quick commercial. If you need help, just reach out. Okay. So this is stuff that I do all day long. Like it's second nature to me. I know how to roll these things out in the proper way, to build them out with the structure that you need to actually grow and scale to profitability for sure. I do a lot of audits. So if you need help with just an audit, let me know. I can be reached at brianrocket.net. not .com, brianrocket.net/schedule, and let's have a quick conversation, 10-15 minute conversation. I'd love to learn about your practice, give you some pointers, and perhaps we can work together. All right. So that's it for now. I'm excited to get into this. So we're going to start with conversion tracking, and then we're going to follow that schedule where we're going through all of this one by one, right? So I think we'll end up with 10, maybe 11 videos, but that's it. I look forward to starting with you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.